Welcome to GBALL Vision, everyone. I hope you are having a fantastic day today. We have an exciting video to go over here today. We are talking about some spine mounted locks, and I did some looking for 5 or 10 minutes or so to see if I could find any comparisons or any contrasts of the Shark Lock, the Super Lock, the Atlas Lock. We have the Demco AD 20.5 with the Shark Lock, the Civivi Vision FG with the SNEX Super Lock, and then we have the Cold Steel Engage with the Atlas Lock. All three are spine mounted locks. They are all fairly newer locks as far as production knives go. Now, SNEX did do the Super Lock before any of this in custom knives. As far as I know, that was the first spine mounted lock out of these three, at least. And these are the only three that I know of personally. But to answer that question right off the get go, I believe the Super Lock did come first on some custom knives. The Shark Lock came first on production knives. So to get that out of the way, now this is not going to be a deep dive, disassembly, and all that sort of thing. That is going to come in a different video. I didn't want to do that video now until we just kind of went over some of the basics of each one of these and answering the question that I've been asked quite a bit out of the three, which one would I get first and why, sort of thing. And it was before I really got this knife or got a chance to carry it and use it. So I kind of held off on that answer. But I've actually come to a conclusion. If you want to experience a spine mounted lock, which one of these three would I choose first and why? Stay tuned. We'll go over these three and then I will let you know which one and why I choose that knife. Now let's just do a quick, simple breakdown of the three. We have the Demco AD 20.5, Taiwanese made. You have OS 10A, original form. This has FRN scales and a lower mounted pocket clip. Now I did go to RGT micarta scales and a Lynch Northwest pocket clip. This knife in its standard configuration comes in at 150 to 160, or at least when I bought it, it did. I got one of the first runs of this knife. I bought it immediately when it came out. The Civivi Vision has Nitro V, micarta, and then a deep carry rollover clip in its standard configuration. This one has a milled tie clip. We'll get into more of that here in a minute. About $80 for this knife with no codes or anything like that. Using GBALL 10, I think you could get all three of these off-white mountain knives using code GBALL 10 to get 10% off. Definitely the Civivi Vision. Now the Cold Steel, that comes in between 170 and 180, maybe a little bit more depending on where you go. I've seen it as low as 170-ish. S35 VN with a satin finish, G10 handles, the Atlas Lock, which is a beast, and then you do have a beastie deep carry rollover steel clip on the Engage. Now, just to go over, since we're not doing a deep dive disassembly, and there's a reason for that, I wanted to kind of cover the three locks a little bit more and answer the question of which one would I take before we go doing a 30-minute deep dive disassembly of each one type of deal and diagnosing the locks. Now, let's start with the Shark Lock. These are all very similar locks. They are different, but very similar. They're all spine mounted. They're all under spring tension. You know, this is mid mounted, as I say. It's in the middle of the spine, you know, and it's not quite up at the top like you see the Shark Lock and the Super Lock are. So this is more of a mid mounted release, whereas the Super Lock and Shark Lock are at the top. They all function very similarly. When the knife is closed, that lock springs up into the tang of the knife, and it will jump into the tang, locking that into place. Now it is under spring tension. That lock will jump right up into the tang of the blade. You will see the super lock do the same thing. I'll try to do it nice and slow. Watch that lock, watch the lock, boom, right into the tang of the knife. Now this is a better visual since we aren't taking them apart. That is where that lock is actually engaging. So it is very, very cool. So ingenious. They're very simple. It's a very simple idea, but to actually, and now that it's already been done, I guess it's easy to say that, coming from liner locks and slip joints and then frame locks, something like this is just absolutely ingenious, so well thought out. And the locks aren't just fidgety, nice to look at locks. These are all three very, very strong locks and would hold up under some of the most, brutal things that you could do to a folding knife. Now, here is the Atlas lock in motion. Watch the lock. See it jump there into the tang. So they all act very, very similarly, and they are all very functional. I really like all three of them. The Civivi is my newest acquisition out of the three. I did have the Shark Lock before any of these, the 20.5. Initially, I was not going to bring the Atlas into this video. I was just going to do a comparison and whatnot of these two, but I figured it only made sense because I have not seen any comparisons that I could find on any one of these or any two of these three going against each other, or just comparing them and showing what is what with them. And this is kind of just a very basic overview of the three locks, and to maybe help someone with a decision, who doesn't have either of these or any of these, and they want to get a spine mounted locking folder, which one to get basically. And my answer might end up being very surprising between the three. I wanted to have all three of them, carry all three, get a fresh feeling for all three, especially the Vision, because I hadn't handled it or handled it much up until very recently. This knife has not left my side since I unboxed it. I took this, one of many, to the beach with me. This was my driving down to the beach knife, driving home knife, along with one or two other ones. But I have not been able to put this thing down, and then adding that titanium clip just changed the game as far as the clip side is concerned. So much cleaner looking. You even get a little added weight relief. Not that it's necessary. This is already nice and light. But the money I saved at White Mountain using my code, which was $8 or $10, I put right back into this clip. I saved $10 and I got myself a titanium clip basically for that price, give or take a couple dollars. But I think it was well worth it. If you can get this off White Mountain, you can order yourself a titanium clip for like 10 or $12 or something like that off Amazon or wherever they sell Civivi clips. I got this from Amazon. I can link it down below if you are interested. And I will link all three of these down below as well. So let's go over some of the little details of the knife. We'll grab my little handy Smoky Mountain Knife Works Rough Rider exclusive shipwrecked copper pen as a pointer here. So the Shark Lock is very simple construction. You have this titanium or steel bar that does have a spring captured inside here, right about in here. and it is captured between the two liners and in this piece of steel. Yeah, it's steel. It ain't titanium. Yeah, it's steel. They're all going to be steel because the steel will be able to hold up on the wear. The titanium would eventually, well, the titanium would probably be fine. That might be, the liners are titanium. Yeah, that's titanium, or that's all steel. So this is also riding on a track in the liners. Very simple, but very unique, very cool. The Shark Lock is definitely a very fidgety, strong locking mechanism, and it is also left-hand friendly, and so are these other two. And as I said at the beginning, they are all under spring tension, but they all have a little different looking bar. And where the spring is located, this one is more high mounted. The Super Lock has a stop pin here, and then it also has a underneath stop pin. In a sense, it basically rides on that pin there that you see. Very unique. Now the spring is going to be down in here. And like I said, when we do a deep dive into these, we will take a further look at this. But the spring is going to be down here. They are both going to, or all three going to, be actuated very similarly. You can definitely tell they're under spring tension, and that is why when the knife goes from closed to open, it springs right up and into the tang. Now, this is almost a full length bar compared to the Shark Lock. The Shark Lock bar stops about halfway down the spine of the knife, where the Super Lock is almost damn near full length. It's over 3/4 of the length of the spine. The stop pins here, and then you have a standoff here. So they are the same, but very different. Now, if you take a look at this one, the Atlas Lock, you have some nice jimping here. You have a thick bar, and this bar is a little bit longer than the Shark Lock's bar is. Not by much, I would say. We can get the roller out here. The Shark Lock is about 1 3/4. The Super Lock is 2 3/4, and then the Atlas Lock is about 2 1/4. So right there in the middle, the Atlas Lock is. So they are all going to be very similar. So let's answer the question. Out of these three, and then the spring for this one is, I believe, right here. They all are very, and this one is also on a track. The Super Lock is not on a track. And then you can see the stop pin inside there where this rides along that, basically, so it isn't getting pushed into the interior of the knife. So, like I said, I've been asked the question, which one would I take and why? And I think the answer to that, if you don't have any of these three knives and you want to experience a rear mounted lock, you want to have that kind of fidgetiness, that kind of strength, that sort of thing, you want to experience the lock for and get a good value with your knife, right? Well, this knife, the Cold Steel Engage, has a, a great material choice at a not so bad price. S35, heavy steel liners, a nice new Atlas Lock, G10 overbuilt at like 170. That's not really that bad considering they put a new lock in this guy. Had this been a triad lock, you would have probably saw this down in the low $100 price point, similar to where the 80, 10, and 15 can be found sometimes, although they can be a little higher priced. This knife is not anything close to a good value, especially in its standard configuration. AUS 10, FRN with a lower mounted clip at like 160, let's say. In order to make this knife any what better and, give it something, you're going to have to get some scales. You're going to have to get a new pocket clip, and you're talking, you know, depending on what scales you get, you could be well over $100 more onto this knife. So you're talking at minimum 2.25 to 250 at minimum. That's getting some, micarta scales like this, and even those are going to be 50 plus dollars easily, and then another 25 or $30 for the clip. You're at $80 minimum, and that's being very generous on the pricing. With the Civivi Vision, you're getting, in its standard configuration, Nitro V, a nice, useful Wharncliffe sheep's foot style blade, dual thumb studs, nice micarta. All three have thumb studs with the 20.5. You do get the hole, but you can kind of take or leave that. It does come in handy sometimes. But then you're getting G10 or micarta, a nice deep carry rollover clip in its initial configuration, like I said, that, it works very good. I would say in standard configuration, it's probably the best clip out of all three of these. And this knife comes in at $80 in the base configuration. The Damascus one is more, but I would definitely go with the Nitro V. At $80 plus a 10% discount at White Mountain Knives, you're looking at like $70 for this thing, like $72, maybe something to that effect. This one cannot be beat by either of these two. The Civivi Vision is, if you don't have any of these three and you want to experience this lock, the Civivi Vision is by far the one that I would choose. You can get two of these for the price of either one of these. And that is just phenomenal. The aesthetics of this knife, it looks phenomenal. It's left-hand friendly carry for everyone. It is an ambidextrous lock. Nice handles, micarta, great milling. So the knife is pretty light. You do have some nice steel liners that give it nice rigidity. There's no question. The Civivi Vision is at even $80. I would take this knife 10 out of 10 times over these three. Now, they all do feel a little different as far as the opening and closing, and I think they all feel very smooth, very good. No complaints with any of the three locking systems. But to get the best experience for the money and still maintain good materials, I'm taking this knife. There's no question about it. I've thought about it and thought about it. This knife absolutely smokes the 20.5. AUS 10 and plastic versus Nitro V and micarta, there's no comparison. Now, materially versus the Engage, there's definitely a better material choice in the S35, but at twice the cost. So there's just the Civivi Vision is popular for a reason. It's phenomenal, very well done. Civivi hit an absolute grand slam. Redoing this knife a little bit and keeping it well under $100, they absolutely crushed it. I would love to see this knife at like 120-ish with S35 VN and micarta. Oh, that would be just, and that's a $40 upcharge. There's no way it should be that much. If they can give us Nitro V at 80 in micarta, I would love to see S30 or S35 on this guy with some different, you know, micartas or whatever. True, would that be just a phenomenal value? I would love to see that from Civivi. And it still is way under the price of the Vision, the original Vision. That'll do it for this one, guys. Give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you really want to see a deep dive into all three of these. I'm going to do it either way. I just want to know if there's people that are interested in seeing it. But to answer the question, out of the three, the Civivi Vision all day, every day, no question about it. So I hope that helps some people out, and I hope that, you know, because there really isn't much else out there on these three knives in the same video, I hope that helps somebody out along the way as well. If you are new here and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below the video. I would love to have you here and become a G-baller of the G-ball vision. And you can hit the G spot twice a week, no question about it. You can hit the G spot. I'd love to have you here. And I'm talking to you. Check out these two videos. Definitely going to want to check this one out. Love you guys, and I will catch you on the next one.